Richard Henry Lee, who was a founding father, described it as those essential rights of mankind without which liberty cannot exist. Richard Henry Lee was worried that the original Constitution didn't have specific protections for those freedoms. And so within a couple of years, Congress got to work and we got the Bill of Rights. Almost immediately after they ratified the Constitution, they added this series of 10 amendments, the first 10, a separate list of thou shalt nots to the government, things that the government simply cannot do, with the express purpose of safeguarding liberty. You see, the Founding Fathers knew from sad, difficult, tragic experience under British tyranny that bad things happen when we allow too much power to accumulate in the hands of the few and in the hands of people who are not skeptical of government and, in fact, put their trust in it. You see, this is part of how British tyranny became so bad in the first place. People put an almost religious amount of zeal and support and, yes, faith in the crown and therefore in government. That's not where it belongs. We know better as conservatives. So when human beings, any human beings, wield that much power with no controls around it, that inevitably leads to tears and worse. People do bad things with that power. They restrict people's speech. They restrict their ability to preach and live according to their religious beliefs and to petition the government seeking relief from the very abusive action taken by that very government. They disarm the populace. They unreasonably search and seize individuals at their homes, invading their personal privacy and seizing their personal effects without a warrant. This has happened in societies over and over and over again. And the one common ingredient? People put faith in the government and don't trust the people. And so, as a society, as a people, as a country, we made a choice with the Bill of Rights, a choice to prevent that kind of tyranny and to protect the freedoms we hold most dear, as only we the people can. You see, the Founding Fathers understood that ultimately the bulwark of individual liberty must lie with the people themselves. It's not in government, it's in us. But that, you see, is why the Bill of Rights exists. And it's why government worshipers everywhere hate it. They despise it because we're telling them you can't do that. It's worth noting that the protections in the Bill of Rights are listed independently, separately, because each enumerated right is significant and should stand independent on its own, and it should always be honored. But we also can't overlook the fact that each of these protections also can work in concert together to protect liberty. And I believe that there's one freedom in the First Amendment that's central to all the others and is particularly worth highlighting today. It's long been said, as I'm sure you'll hear today, that whether by accident or by divine design, our first freedoms are found in the First Amendment. Our freedoms of speech, religion, press, assembly, and petition. And perhaps the one that's least known, least appreciated, least celebrated, but from which all others draw their strength and ultimately depend in one way or another, is our right to assemble, to do what we're doing right here today. Freedom of religion depends on it. Core political speech is downstream from it. The right to petition government is bound to it. And the freedom of the press presupposes it. We can't do any of these things without the freedom to assemble. And it's one of the main freedoms, not coincidentally, that's been severely restricted with the growth of government that's occurred during this global pandemic. We've been prevented from gathering in our churches, in our schools, and in our workplaces. In some cases, even from gathering in protest while seeking redress of our grievances. Whether knowingly or not, those in power have struck at the core piece that has the ability to cause the whole structure to collapse. And we're suffering the consequences. Just look at California. Sad, sad California. The people of California are recalling their governor because they've had enough of these stringent closures. They've had enough of the encroachment upon their rights and enough of the government telling them that they can enjoy a 5-star meal at French Laundry with their governor, but they can't go to church. Of course, you can enjoy that meal there only if you can afford the $10,000 a plate entry price, but that's another issue. On the flip side, I'm so grateful to my friend Governor Ron DeSantis for keeping Florida open. Government, of course, is itself able to assemble pretty darn well. You know, miraculously, in the midst of the pandemic and otherwise, in places like Washington and state capitals and city halls, government officials allow themselves to assemble. They don't restrict themselves. This can seem intimidating to us as everyday citizens. Who are we might think, compared to those with massive consolidated power, who, as we might see it, have all the say. But the beauty of our country, of our history, and of the design of our system of government, that's the power of ordinary citizens standing together. When one person realizes that he's not alone in his beliefs, and finds another, and then another, and then a few more. That's how we end up with gatherings like this one, where the magic happens. And thank you, Matt Schlapp, for making this gathering happen. The nation and the world have been changed by groups of clear-minded, purposefully law-abiding Americans assembling together. It's how our country was born, and it's how we've fought successfully to maintain our liberty thus far. And it's why we're here today. We're here today not because we have faith in government. We're here because we have faith in the American people. Those two work in opposite directions. It's only when we've got faith in the American people that things work. Our founders understood that at the end of the day, some of the most dangerous threats to freedom come from government itself, because government is force, and in that respect, it's the opposite of freedom. They understood that government is ultimately the authorized collective use of coercive force, force that can be used against us, and so for that very reason, they sought to constrain it. They understood that in government there is a choice between liberty and tyranny, and there is this choice that is constant and relentless and binary. Tyranny, liberty. We got to choose which one. Pick a horse and ride it. We're here because we, as a group, choose liberty. We're here because we believe, we understand that government works for us and not the other way around. We're here because we trust the people and are skeptical of government. That, my friends, is worth uniting around. I believe that if we understand these principles and we continue to talk about them, we can unite around them. We can, we must, and together assembled, we will. Thank you very much.
Hi, Emma Reckenberg here. If you like this video, there's a whole lot more to see on Newsmax TV. You can watch for free right here on our YouTube live stream and be the first one here each time our experts break down real news. Just hit that subscribe button, ring the bell icon, and stay with us on America's fastest growing cable news channel, Newsmax TV.